So I'm driving home from Typhoon Pakar. The wind is ripping down the streets, at times across them. I'm counterbalancing on my 110cc scooter to try to keep from getting blown over onto the roadway. The rain is pelting down on me, and I'm like, it's fine, I've got my poncho. Nope. It is bouncing up off the road, so I am getting it in both directions. Everything is soaking wet. Once I got home, so the thing about Vietnam is everybody parks their motorbikes inside because theft, you want to talk about motorbike theft? Holy cow. If your bike is not locked up inside your house, it's gone immediately. So I had this steep upgrade at a gate to first open, and then a steep upgrade, and then there's this like inside parking area before our couches, which were right there. So I pull my bike inside, take off all my wet gear, and shortly after I arrived home, my 5 other roommates also arrived home, soaking wet from their teaching English shifts. And we shared the 6-bedroom house. Like I said, it was in District 1. District 1 is known for kind of being downtown. It's where the backpacking district is, so all of the kids that, take gap years and like party their way across the world, they end up in their backpacker area. So this is pretty close to where I was living, and which meant that there was a lot of restaurants there. Well, all 6 of us showed up at home, realized none of us had anything to eat that was worth cooking on this night of a typhoon. So we quickly decided that we'd pay somebody else to bring us food. So we ordered delivery. And I like to think that we ordered Indian food, like as an honor to Typhoon Pakar, but I'm not sure that we did, but I really hope that we did. But what I do know is that we tipped that poor delivery driver immensely. Hopefully it was the biggest tip of the night because we did not want to be back out there. Typhoon Pakar, you were a doozy. All right, our last scheduled storyteller for this evening is Henry Fajardo. If you don't know this guy, he is out there almost as much as Crash. He comes up with his own walk-up music apparently. Henry is out there documenting all of our stories with his camera, but holy cow, I am so glad to have him here to document one of his stories with us. Please welcome Henry Fajardo extraordinaire.
Gracias. This is going to be all in Spanish. Mi nombre es Enrique y mis historias. So yeah, thank you for having me. Let's round of applause for Caesar. It's actually really nice to have this venue. Also hosting the venue, the Out of Space, and really making quick marketing and stuff like that. But it's great to have an open discussion, with motorcycles. I think we all have stories, right? We all ride. So just to gauge the crowd a little bit, how many people have been riding from 1 to 5 years by applause? 1 to 5 years, okay. How about the 5 to 10 year folks? 5 to 10 years, okay. 10 and up. All right. So let's give them all a round of applause for the 10 and up, right? So I have a couple of motorcycle rides regarding weather, right? But I'm going to talk a little bit about what I do. So I am a motorcycle instructor for Ride Chicago. So what's great about being a motorcycle instructor, you get to meet folks who are starting their journey, right? So I'm kind of like a coach. I'm constantly telling folks, getting you ready for the motorcycle stuff, getting your gear ready, what type of bikes. I also teach with Steve, who's also a motorcycle instructor at Ride Chicago. So we meet a lot of folks here. I also take photos. Some of you may see some of my photos online. I take pictures, a lot of pictures of Jill on her badass motorcycle and stuff like that. Taking some pictures here. I remember you folks. How come you guys aren't talking with the, you guys are part of the Moto Social, right? We got to get the Moto Social guys. So I make it a point to go out to a lot of these events just to network and blah, 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 motorcycles. I was like, that's a great concept, We're always talking about motorcycles. It's like, so hopefully, and I know it's going to brand out to be more. When's your next show?
Hopefully April.
April?
If not April, definitely June.
And that's going to be here in Chicago or Louisville?
Well, both. So hopefully April also in Louisville. So as they further expand, the same places also get multiple events the same year. So
Nice. So yeah, let's definitely support it and keep it going. We're definitely. So there's a couple of motorcycle weather-related stories. One is when not too long ago, I think it was basically when before COVID, I started working downtown. I bought this cheap Yamaha Bolt motorcycle, and I think we kind of touched upon it a little bit, right? So, but yeah, I think what's great is when you're riding for so many years, you have these experiences. We're all going to run across these, riding in the rain, the heat, and as an instructor, we ride throughout the day in all four seasons of the weather. No pun intended, seasons. So it could be like cool in the morning, starts raining, and then it's hot. So we're constantly shedding clothes and just in the element. So after a shift teaching, you're spent. You're just like, ah. But anyway, so I started riding to work. So who commute rides? Does anybody commute ride? So that's just daily, everyday commute riding, right? Who iron butts? I know you iron butt ride, right? Okay, we got the iron butt rides. Okay, who are the weekend warriors? Any weekend warriors? Yeah, just Friday, Saturday, Sunday. What about like the mountain carving? Any folks who do like trip rides? You? Yeah. Okay. So I know you're gonna invite me to a couple of them as well. Okay? Trip rides. So yeah.
Calling me out. Okay.
Yeah. No, for sure. This time you got to invite. So yeah, I'm definitely. Back in the day, I used to do commute riding, city riding versus highway riding, and so we tend to learn, to be prepared in all weather, right? You go out, next thing you know, it's raining, and then you're not ready, and then forget it. It's all about being safe, right? That's the idea. So in this case, I kind of misjudged the weather. I think it's you kind of like flurries. It's the first time I haven't done all year round riding for a long time. So I'm an 80s kid, so I've been riding since the 80s. Are you there, Crash, with me in the 80s? Okay, kind of thought, yeah. So we started riding in the 80s, and I used to ride with a couple of guys. I find that we rode sport bikes in the beginning, and we were without helmets, shorts and the squids, right? That's how you start out, and then you're like, how did I manage to live so far without any accidents? And so yeah, as you get older, you tend to be prepared and learn the type of riding that you should learn to keep safe, right? So this winter, this particular winter, all your riding, I did it because I didn't like taking the CTA. I didn't like and I live in the city, and crowding into the bus or the train. So I figured, well, let me just ride, and I'll find a hidden parking spot in the back of the building so I can just park it and ride. So I would do this. I got really good at it. The big problem with winter riding all year round is what? The cold, right? It's going to be freezing, and then if it's as long as it's not snow or rain, you can get away with just riding. And albeit my riding time was about 20 minutes, so it wasn't that bad, right? But this particular evening, I showed up to work. I started seeing flurries coming down, and then I decided I needed to leave early before the snow hit, and then the rush hour traffic. So it was a combination. So normally what takes me 20 minutes to get back to the house, it was like probably a good hour just to get back in the traffic, because you're sort of skiing on your motorcycle as you're riding. But it didn't start off that way. It was just like light flurries, and I was like, And I'll tell you, I don't like riding in the rain. I'm just very, I don't like taking chances. This is just me. If I see there's rain, riding is it's supposed to be fun. We want it to be fun. We want to just enjoy it. I mean, that's kind of the idea, right? That's why we all ride. It's the experience. But you get those stories behind some of these elements, some of these great stories that you're hearing. Especially with Hank being on the, was it Hank on the back of your bike? Or no, Hank was the other biker, right? Yeah, gotcha. So that's you get some good stories coming from that. Anyway, so it started drizzling. I take my normal route, and then by the time I got closer to like the Cobra Lounge, which is kind of like in between, and we know the Cobra Lounge because we go to a lot of motorcycle Mondays there. There was already snow on the floor. I mean, there was snow, traffic, slush. I was thinking about just dumping the bike there and just walking. I could have probably walked. It would have been a long cold walk. I learned to also wear like layers and snowsuits, double up on the gloves, making sure you have your neck warmer. So the story about the fogging up the visor, that was just the same thing. You know about that. You just let it. I did learn that, I guess, in New York, if you have the visor up, you get a ticket if you ride without the glasses. No? Okay, so yeah, you didn't do that then, right? Okay, so yeah, I was like, that's interesting. Yeah, it definitely has a helmet lock. But so I'm slipping and sliding. I get to the one street, and I'm trying to take. Normally I take streets that are empty, right? There's no traffic. I try to avoid the rush hour, back-to-back traffic. So in this case, I had to kind of go against that because there was already snow packing up. And I have taken pictures of this, so you've probably seen some of these photos online. But luckily I made it home. In this case, I was kind of slipping and sliding. There were points where I could have swear I was gonna fall. Luckily, again, when you're riding that slow, it's probably not gonna be like it's more of an ego fall, right? You're gonna fall and you break your ego more than anything. So, and I learned that riding in deep snow, busy streets are better, right? Because the snow, the cars are actually making tracks for you, and you can ride in that slush and in that mess of the snow. So I managed to take Ashland, follow some cars. People were looking at me like I'm nuts. Who's this nut job? And I think throughout that whole winter, people were looking at me because it was, as you mentioned, if you're 20 degrees out, it's really below zero. It's like 10 degrees less than what it is, so or 20. So I steadily almost, and my goal throughout this whole ride back was not to drop the motorcycle. The challenge in doing that was very challenging for someone who's actually been riding a lot. So, and the point where I got to the alley to the garage was pretty much where I almost lost it. And I did injure my leg because I did have to carry the bike because it was about to fall onto the ground. Yeah, but I managed to get there. So I thought it was a great opportunity to take photos, to kind of share that experience. But there's another experience with riding out. This was way back when I took a trip out to Vegas. Right, so I used to ride with a bunch of folks who, some of my '80s friends. We used to ride around a lot. We'll go to Door County, Wisconsin, weekend stuff. These guys decided, hey, let's go to Vegas, let's do a whole week trip, take vacation time. So I had to coordinate that. And slowly everybody started dropping out. It's like you get the group of friends and sorry, I can't make it. Okay, and then next thing you know, it was down to one, which is me. And I still had my vacation time, and I was like, geez, nobody's gonna go. So I call up my uncle in Houston, Texas, who basically I haven't visited him in a long time. And I was like, well, let me just go out to Houston. So my Vegas trip turned out to be a Houston ride out. So on the way out to Houston, it's kind of a boring ride, to be honest with you, highway riding and stuff like that. I did get some rain elements there, so you get the rain. and I was kind of soloing it. I had this rocket ship of a motorcycle. It was an FZR 1000cc motorcycle back in the day. The bigger the bike, the faster the bike, the more ego you had or whatever, something like that, you know. So I mean, that's why we ride, right? We want to be cool. So I thought I was very cool in my shorts and my combat boots, you know. I have pictures of that too. Very funny 80s, 90s pictures that when you look back, you're like, what the hell was I wearing? Right? So here I go. I get caught in the rain on the way there. So I'm the type of, you know, unless some of you guys have death wishes, I see that you guys keep writing. I forget the one with the video of them writing. That's kind of like a death wish. I kind of avoid that. There you go. Yeah, it's like, you know, it's too scary. I don't know. So I actually pulled over to one of those rest stops, and for some reason I wheeled my bike over some grass on this big motorcycle. So that way the awning protected the rain. And I decided, well, I'm just going to rest there for a couple hours and wait it out. So I managed to wait it out. The sun started coming out again. And then I had this dilemma of pushing this heavy bike back up this hill to get back on the highway. Of course, I managed to somehow, by the touch of God, get that bike up that hill in the wet grass. And you know what happens with wet grass on a motorcycle. It's not fun. So yeah, here I am sweating and stuff like that. Sun's out, very humid out. Start riding. That same trip, I ran out of gas on the way there. You know, I had the reserve. You mentioned the reserve was on a reserve already, and I forgot to flip it onto the on position after filling it up. So I burned through my reserve, and so I was stuck on the side of the road on this cool sport bike. And cars were just passing, and I was just kind of waving, trying to. We didn't have cell phones, you know, of course back then. It was like, oh, no cell phones. So this biker dude, like an easy rider type of biker dude, was really cool. You know, he's had this very intimidating looking, by the way. I'm this like 80s looking kid, you know. And he boom pulls up, and I said, hey man, I ran out of gas, and he happened to have a tank of gas, like a small. I guess he must have been cross country. And he gave me his tank of gas. I gave him like, $20 or something like that. I think it was like $5 a gas, whatever gas. But that managed that I was able to make it to the last gas station. But on the way back, and this is kind of blurry from that trip. You know, the rest of the trip went well. I don't recommend riding to Houston from Chicago to Houston on a sport bike. You know, of course, that's just crazy. So I did that. I do remember on the way there in Texas being very scary at night. You know, you see all these little lights looking at you as you're passing by, and the mist and stuff. And so, okay, this is time to get a hotel. But on the way back, and this is kind of blurry. I don't know if it was a dream or if there was a tornado versus the Yamaha motorcycle on the way back. So it's coming from Oklahoma City to St. Louis. You start off the ride back, and again, it's a boring ride, really. The highway interstate rides, it's not really exciting. It's just so coming back, it started drizzling. The clouds just kind of came over, like this black mass of death flying over you, right? And so I'm just cruising along, and there was no earbuds at the time. I mean, I think we had Walkmans, right? You know, Walkmans. But I do remember rigging, because I'm a gadget guy. My true nature is like IT work and stuff, so I like gadgets, you know, phones and stuff like that. I built this pull-out stereo tank bag thing where I can plug into the cigarette lighter, and I was listening to music. That's, you know, so everywhere I ride is pretty much I'm listening to music these days, you know, like I have a track for every occasion. So I'm listening to the music, and then I see this black massive cloud coming in, and then I feel the bike, like wow. So it's getting windy, and so I see my mirror. It's just like night versus like light, right? And it's you know, and again, you don't know the weather because, as mentioned, there's no internet, or you don't check the weather, so you're just kind of going commando, right? You just go full on. And so you have this black massive cloud following me. And so I'm just kind of like racing my motorcycle to get away from this weather front that was coming to get me. I think that, I don't know what happened, but it did turn, I don't know, I believe south. And as I was kept on going north, I managed to outrun this massive black plague that was behind me. So I have plenty of other stories. I don't know how long we have, but that's going to be my story for now. Thank you. Thank you again.
I think Henry got the bingo on the bingo card of motorcycle experiences on that ride. Just hit them all. That brings us to a close. My phone's been recording, so I have no idea what time is it. There's 1,000 phones.
1 minute before 7.
1 minute before 7. All right, does bring us to a close for tonight. I just want to say thank you. First of all, I need to say thank you to Viking Bags for their sponsorship. That was awesome. Again, I have a set of bags at the merch table if you'd like to come check them out. I'd like to thank Ben, my brother. I know he's waiting for me to be famous enough so I can pay someone to work the door. But I appreciate his help at every event. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank Angelina. They were kind enough to open up today for us. Give her money, please. And also, of course, to the Out of Space for hosting us for this, our second in the series. I'm just super appreciative and thankful that we can continue to be out here. I want to thank every writer that has shared a story here, but also elsewhere, because you are the inspiration for all of this and, well, whatever happens next. So thank you all for being writers, for having stories and being willing to share them. I know it's been mentioned a few times, but stay tuned for the announcement for episode 3. I'll be announcing the theme soon and doing an open call. So if you would like to tell your own story on stage and the theme fits you, please reach out and let me know. I'd love to have you up here. You kind of get a taste of what it's like. We've got former storytellers in the audience from our first episode. So please check in with them. We've got Gail and Jill, and I'm terrible at remembering things, so I write this stuff down. So please reach out, talk to them if you really like what's going on. All of this will be shared on our YouTube channel and then shared on the website and via social media, so you'll get a chance to relive these hot moments right now. But again, and once I get off stage, I'm going to be heading over to the merch table, so if you find yourself interested in taking anything home with you, just meet me over there. And just thank you. Thank you all so much.